in the past with words of the year, and this one is something. Something. You're going to preach on something. Well, hang on, you watch. Let me tell you about a guy named Larry Walters in Southern California in 1982. This is him. He wanted to be a pilot, and he never did pilot, so he was sitting down one day with his girlfriend and said, I'm going to try to fly. So he went and bought 40 8-foot balloons and a bunch of helium and a little lawn chair. And he put the helium in the balloons, he got his lunch, got him a CB radio and a pellet gun to shoot the balloons when he wanted to land. And he took off. Now his goal was to go about 30 feet and float over the desert and end up at the Rocky Mountains. But when he took off, it went up about 1,000 foot a minute until he was 16,000 feet, over 3 miles high, in his little lawn chair with balloons. Well, he got a little scared then. He took a CB radio and said, "Mayday, Mayday." And they started tracking him. So he finally decided to start, what happened, he realized he was in the flight, it didn't go the way he wanted. He was in the flight path for the planes landing at LA Airport. And so one plane radioed in and said, "Just past a man in a lawn chair was, with a gun." So that's the truth. So he finally took his pellet gun and started shooting the balloons out. And then it dropped his gun. But anyhow, he finally made it. He landed in the waiting arms of the Los Angeles police. They only really, after all was said and done, only fined him $1,500. He went on, he was called Lawn Chair Larry, went on the Tonight Show and Late Night with David Letterman and had his 5 minutes of fame. And one of the newsmen interviewed him because what gave you an idea to do such a boneheaded thing? And he says, and here's what he said: "A man can't just sit around." Well, that's what I'm talking about. We can't just sit around. Got to do something. Something for God, something for good, something with this life that matters. Now, let me explain, before I get into what it is, by what it is not. When I say something, it's not just doing anything like Lawn Chair Larry. Well, you know, I'm bored. I think I'll go to the store and buy some stuff. Or I'll get on Amazon. I think Amazon is just a lot of bored people. And they just, I'll buy something. Not really, I'm doing something. And we'll stack it here on the shelf, So I'm not just talking about not just doing anything. And I'm not talking about doing the least you can get away with. Well, we're going to have an offering for a Roy Harris ministry. I'll give $1. Well, if that's all you can give, great. But if you can give more, I'm not talking about just the least you can do. Or your wife asks for help in the kitchen, and you go in there and said, "I'll tie your apron. That's the least I can do." And she says, "That's right, that is the least you can do." I'm not talking about that when I'm talking about doing something, the least you can do. And I'm not talking about being shoddy in your work. Just anything goes, doesn't matter. If a pastor asks you to do a devotion at a meeting, you say, "All right, but I tell you what, I'm not going to read and study. I'm just going to open my Bible and say whatever comes to my mind." See, I'm not talking about that kind of shoddy work for your job or for home or for God's work in it. I'm not talking about. What am I talking about? I'm talking about we can do more than nothing. Something is better than nothing. And we can do something that counts, that matters, that is good with our lives. So why do we do nothing sometimes? Why are we tempted to do nothing? I think we are tempted to let someone do it who can do it better. No matter what you do, somebody can do it better. And you think, "I'll just let them do it. I'll just let Sandy sing. She can do it better." And she does not really think of herself as a singer. But in Music City, USA, we just don't have many singers somehow. I don't know how that works. But we always think somebody else, we'll let them do it better. I have plenty of better preachers than me, but one preacher can't do it all. We got to have many people doing the work of God. So resist that temptation. Say, well, I'll let them do it. They can do it better. They can do it better, but you can do, and I can do something. We're tempted to wait until we get good. But you know how you get good? You practice. You got to do something to get better at it. And if we keep sitting there, when I get good, we never get good. So we have to go ahead and step out and do something to learn how to do something else better. Let's say, you know what I would really like this year as a goal for our church? I would like for everybody in our church to be able to pray out loud without embarrassment in front of other people. I'm not going to call on you without asking, so don't get worried. But I think that every Christian ought to be able to pray out loud in front of other people. And how do you do that? Pray out loud at home and practice. Till we all can be a say, can somebody at work or somebody our neighbor's got a problem, can I pray with you right now? And we can pray out loud and pray with them. I think that's a good goal for all of us. If you and if you can't do it, I'm not going to ask you. Don't be embarrassed. But I think that's something we can practice and do. We're tempted to do nothing because we don't want to fail. We don't want to look bad, which I think goes with the others. Letting somebody else do it better, or we just don't. It's a pride thing. Nobody wants to look dumb. Nobody wants to look bad. Nobody wants to fail. I don't want to fail, and I don't want to set you up for failure. Which is why I'm not going to call on you in front of, without asking you. But I'm saying that is something that we have to, God help us to deal with. Do something anyhow, even if we don't do it perfect.
Amen.
Let's do something, because something's better than nothing. Unless you just really can't sing, we don't want you to sing up here. But, sing at home in the shower. But what I'm saying is we can do something. All right. So, we are tempted to wait until circumstances improve. Well, I'm going to really get involved one of these days. But right now, and you list whatever you want to list, the kids, the job, whatever. And sometimes there are some right now that really are pretty, and I understand that, but most of the time, we can still do something. I like this quote by John Wooden, famous college basketball coach. Things work out the best for those who make the best of how things work out. Are things going to work out? When I'm through the years, I'm a planner. I have planned things for 40-some years in the ministry. And you know how many times things have worked out just like I wanted? Never! I had it all figured out, and it didn't go like I figured. Life doesn't go like you figure. But you still got to work it out somehow and keep going and do things. So, all right, let's look at 5 Bible principles about something. Let's get and see what the Word says about something.